Hi, my name is Brian. I'm with Sea Dog Game Studios, and I'm the lead designer for Sail Power. And I want to take a couple of minutes today to describe what a basic Sail Power turn is like, or how do we play through a turn. Obviously, the game is played in turns, and a turn represents about 5 minutes in the real world as far as actual ship operation, and in a more abstract sense, being the ground scale is exaggerated, probably much longer than that as far as story goes. But about 5 minutes as far as ship operation goes. So the first thing we do is we roll for a wind direction and intensity. If it's the start of the game, it goes off one chart, and then there's a change chart. What you'll find about the change chart is there's a really good chance of it changing a little bit, lesser chances of it changing dramatically, but it'll either go to the left or to the right. We use the cardinal compass directions, and it'll also go up and down in intensity. So either from it can go down to becalmed, light winds, normal winds, high winds. And if you're running a really basic game, you could just leave the intensity out and just run all normal. We've done that before. Also, sometimes you'll see the GMs will start out with high winds right away for a few turns just to kind of get everybody into the mix of things. It kind of depends on the game you're playing. So once wind is determined, everybody basically plots. And it's done blind and at the same time. So on the inside of your ship sheet, you'll end up writing what your ship's going to do. And the goal is to basically represent you giving orders to your crew, and it takes them about 3 to 5 minutes in the real world to set all the sails and make everything happen that you asked to have happen. So that's the blind plotting mechanic. And you could hit somebody else. That's definitely a thing. So if that happens, then obviously there are some things you can do to try to avoid that. But you just do some plotting to determine the course of your ship for that turn. Once you do that, everybody moves at the same time as you're plotted. If there's going to be a collision, we'll baby step through it. We allow seamanship rolls to represent your crew's valiant efforts to avoid catastrophe. Basically, everybody moves all at the same time. All right. Then after that, we do spotting. Now, what spotting is you with the spyglass looking at the other ships, and if you roll really low, we'll make fun of you and tell you, hey, take the lens cap off. The higher you roll, this is one of the few times in this game you want to roll high, because when cannon fire is all rolling low. You get increasingly accurate answers, and the holy grail is you get 2 exact questions of anything you can see about the ship. So can't spot what's in the hold, but you could say determine if they're riding low in the water, or how many crew they have on deck, whatever you want to know about the other vessel, or even the islands if there's islands and wrecks and other things in play. Then we'll ask if anybody has cannon fire, and basically the typical rule there is it is all simultaneous fire. However, we generally let the person who's most hosed by cannon fire go first as far as rolling their actual die, just because if you're going to get hit by 4 ships and you're going to get pounded to scrap wood, it'd be fun to fire your cannons before that happens. So, but it is all simultaneous, so if I lose cannons, I still get to fire them for this turn. They're eliminated at the end of the phase, obviously. So campfire happens, and then we resolve the what happens from the gunfire. And then it's crew actions, and crew actions, there's a lot of subparts to that. For this overview, we won't get into all of them, but that would include things like if you have a shore party, you can go ashore and search. That's actually a really common thing. You're sailing by an island, you're adjacent to it, you just want to search the island. If you have a repair crew, they can repair things. If you want to grapple, then board, you can do that. Just things that the crew would do. Who launch small boats. Then Usually during the crew actions, to keep the game going, we'll go ahead and roll the next turn's wind. We usually go around the table and take turns doing that, but you know, necessarily you could have a GM do it, or you know, whatever system, we just have a designated wind person that they can take the blame and the brunt of all the wind, no matter how bad it is or how good it is. Whatever you want to do, but we typically do that because if you're not involved in crew actions, it's kind of dull to just sit there and not know what the wind's going to change to, so we'd rather get you plotting, and it just keeps the game moving. So usually during crew actions, we'll do the next turn's wind, and then after crew actions, the only thing that's left is cleanup. So if the ship's taking on water, then that happens. If there's a fire, it doubles. You can reassign your crew at the end of the crew action there. So you know, just you're making your ship shape for what is going to happen for the next turn, and then we go on to the next turn. So that's a sail power turn in a nutshell. Obviously, there's a lot of details there we haven't covered as far as, you know, what happens in the game, but broad strokes, that's a turn. Have a great day.